FBI says they're investigating another apparent assassination attempt against former President Trump. He was playing golf at one of his Florida golf clubs when Secret Service agents spotted a man with an AK-47 style rifle about 500 yards away. Now, agents fired shots and the man fled and was later apprehended.
Well, I'm shocked she said Donald Trump, because we know she doesn't like saying his name. Remember that? I won't say his name. Like, this is the type of stuff that kills me. Like, this is how divided we are as a country. Like, for what? It's just Donald Trump, right? It's just ridiculous.
President Biden and VP Harris made statements saying that they're thankful he was unharmed and that there is absolutely no place for this kind of violence. Still, we've got 50 days until the election. You know, will this insanity end, or do you think it's just going to get worse?
Well, first and foremost, thank God he's okay. And it's wild that we're here again just weeks after the former assassination attempt. I want to say this. I worked closely with Secret Service when I worked for the former vice president and the former president. I'm still friends with many Secret Service agents. I applaud law enforcement for what happened once the shot was fired. Once the shooter was seen, the alleged shooter. They did everything right after that. But I have some real questions that we know there was already one attempt on his life. We know the Iranian regime has a price on his head, and someone was able—
We don't know that they have a price on his head. Okay, listen, if you want me to give you the if you want me to give you the exaggerated version, the fiery headlines and the doom and gloom fear-mongering headlines, fine, they have a price on his head. But if you want the truth, we don't have any evidence to that. I'm sorry, I deal in facts. I'm not here to gas up the American citizen to make them feel like, oh my God, this is something else to worry about again. I'm not saying not to be aware of things, but be aware of the fact we have nothing to prove that they have a price on his head. You know, it's funny how that's one position that right-wingers and left-wingers can seem to come on is international, enemies, that we always have to get involved with something that we don't have the evidence of things that happened. Right? Like, I'm just saying, everything's going to be connected to Iran. This is not me defending Iran. I want a strong military system that can defend our borders by every invader, from every invader. But I will not fall for every headline, every talking point that's given to me. I absolutely refuse to do it. And I won't promote it to you. So you can hate me if you want, but I'm just keeping it real.
Able to get within 500 yards of him. Now, former U.S. presidents have faced assassination plots. We forget someone shot at the White House when Barack Obama was there, but never something that got this close. And I think there needs to be a true law enforcement post-mortem of what can better be done. And I know some of this is where he chooses to be, but then he needs to not do that, because our country can—
He's in a golf course at his house.
Not have former, potentially future leaders that are targeted in this way. And I think there are a lot of questions that have to be answered. They need to be capable of securing him better, so it's not just a stone's throw, and history could be very different than it is today.
I would agree with that. You know, it was shocking to me that it was 500 yards. And I thought that it was an important thing that they noticed the barrel of a gun through a fence 500 yards away. So in that respect, they were doing their jobs, right, in that respect. But what is so offensive to me, and it is also because they're saying it's very hard to secure a golf club, golf course, when those courses are sometimes on highways, and it's very difficult. But that doesn't really matter when it comes to protecting a former president or a future president. I will say this, I am so saddened and disturbed by the fact that political violence is so normalized in this country. It's something that I think we started seeing when Steve Scalise was injured. And then I think we saw more of it, especially with Nancy Pelosi's husband.
So what they're going to do is they're going to generalize the situation. Now, listen, I don't know everything that happened yesterday. What I will say is that the media has this thing where now it's like, well, let's talk about everything since this happened. We are very flippant people. Do you know that my best friend didn't even know what happened? That's not on her, by the way, who's always connected. Like, when I say connected, like, she's not like somebody who's dumb or anything like that, right? Something like this should be taken so serious that everything stops. Why is it that the former president, can have an attempted assassination on his life twice, and everything still runs the same way, right? What's going on around here? And he's still going to go to his rallies. He's still going to get on the plane. And what's going on around here? What's happening here? What are you telling me here? And now we're going to talk about all sorts of other things.
And so it's on both sides of the aisle. It's all over the country. And I was just reading this morning, a recent University of Chicago poll examined support for political violence in the United States. And there is more support for violence today against Trump and others. Against Trump, 10% of American adults think it's okay. And 26 million American adults who support violence to prevent Trump from regaining the presidency. More than 30,000 of those own guns, and almost 80% have access to internet organizational tools. That's despicable.
Well, we have to
What do we
elevate our
do?
rhetoric. That's the problem, is for like 10 years, there's been a normalizing of, he or she didn't mean that, or they were just speaking that way. The way our politicians are speaking right now, we never would have seen that 20 years ago. There's a point where there's an out of bounds, and there's no longer bounds at all. People will say and do anything. And it's not just on the national level, this trickle down, if we're seeing it in politicians, but somehow that's come all the way down, and a lot of that's due to technology and social media, the reach.
Yeah.
There's always hate speech. There's always been awful things said. But now the reach of that hate speech is great. There are countries, even in Europe, that have created like the no hate speech movement, which the one step before violence is that hate speech. And we have no regulation because we live in a country that, I understand, values the First Amendment, but there's got to be a way that, whether it's regulating social media, that communities have to come together and change.
All right, communists, that's enough, okay? Like, I do like my Constitution. I do. I listen, let me tell you something. Like I said again, and shout out to everybody who's been giving me like props and lovely messages. It rolls down the back. It's been a while since the Haitians been roasted. This is all my life. I got to take it. These Jones, I got to tell you, though, some of the roasting online, it is a different feeling. Because they come from everywhere, and you're just like, whoa, what is this? Why somebody showed me a cat? Da, da, da. So it's like, but I'm here like, man, I'm gonna take these hits because I don't want a single thing about speech regulated. Speech, not we're gonna get this thing or this group at 4:00. No, that's planning something. And we need to see more. Like, we can't. All that happens is if you try to shut somebody's speech down, you're just going to say the same thing underground, and you're never going to be able to catch their next step. That's one reason, but that's not number one reason. I don't want regulations on speech because I can talk greasy too. This is the indignant right of an American to be as racist as they want to be. I just want to be very clear. You can be as racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, misogynistic, whatever, as you want to be in your speech. Now, when you start making plans, now you've crossed the line into criminal. Why is that so hard for people? Okay? So now my speech has to be regulated because the way you people talk about Trump on your show, and you never gave yourself, you never took any, by the way, the rest of the clip, they don't take any accountability for it. They don't. But I have to shut up online. Oh, we got to do something about speech. Get out of here, communists. It doesn't work. Like, we have a constitution still. I know everybody's trying to find a way to break it up, and they will. We have enough 3-letter agencies and bureaus and everything else to break things up, but I'm not going to ever. I don't care what somebody, I've been called some horrible things. This is not for pity. This is just me saying I've been through it. So if somebody says, but you don't know what it feels like, no, but I do. I do. And you will not control anybody's speech. Your feelings, facts, don't care about your feelings. The problem is, lately, the people who've been saying facts don't care about your feelings, they want to regulate speech too. They do, right? No, they sound like her, but a different way. Yeah, okay? We are going live on Wednesday. We're going to talk about all of this. But yeah, no, Chick can stay away from my Constitution. I'm good. There will be no regulation of the hate speech. Y'all can bring on all the cat memes all you want, just as long as I can say what I have to say too. They never take accountability for what they do. And I'm not going to sit here and feel bad simply because you get to run off at the mouth because that's the script you were given. And then I have to shut up. Absolutely not.